Hello everyone and welcome to the summary of grammar lessons 1 through 5. So in the first few lessons we just got started. We talked about general aspects of grammar and how it is applied to our language. After that we started getting into level 1 of grammar, which is parts of speech. Now at the conclusion of lesson 5 we have talked about the first 3 parts of speech: nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. I'd like to take a moment right now to summarize these 3 parts of speech and to illustrate how they all interact with one another. So let's get started. So here's our big question: noun, pronoun, and adjective. Who are these guys and what do they do? Let's start with nouns here. So nouns, they name a person or people, they name a place or places, and they name a thing or things. Now, every noun must be either common, like boy, or proper, like Tom. That same noun must also be either concrete, like rock, or abstract, like freedom. That same noun must also be either singular, like student, or plural, like students. Let's take a closer look at the second part of speech that we discussed: pronouns. So pronouns are divided into 2 major types: subjects and objects. Subject pronouns describe who or what we are talking about. So because a pronoun takes the place of a noun, instead of saying Tom is tired, I could replace the name Tom with he is tired. Or instead of saying Tom and Jerry are tired, I could replace both of those proper names with they are lost or they are tired. There are also object pronouns. Object pronouns are the things that receive the action, or in some cases the description. For example, I gave him the money, and she told them to go home. In both of these sentences, in the first one, him is the object pronoun, and them is the object pronoun. Also, too, you'll notice in these sentences that I and she are subject pronouns. So a sentence can have more than one type of pronoun in it. Finally, with pronouns, the major thing you also need to remember is that they can be in the first, second, or third person point of view. In first person, for example, I and me are first person pronouns. Second person, it's just you across the board. It's always going to be you in second person. And in third person, they, them. Those would be examples. So the final part of speech I'd like to summarize: adjectives. Adjectives modify a noun or a pronoun. Let's take a closer look here. Some rules to remember about adjectives: they cannot exist without a noun to modify, or a pronoun. Nouns can exist without adjectives. Pronouns can also exist without adjectives. So, if we're going to be detectives about this, when you find an adjective, you can always use it to find the noun that it modifies. Something else, finally, I like you to remember here: a, an, and the are adjectives, and collectively they're known as the articles. One more little trick to pronouns: pronouns that are used to modify a noun are sometimes called possessive adjectives. Okay, so let's take a look at this example sentence. The small boy found his lost puppy. Small is modifying the noun boy, so it's an adjective, and lost is modifying the noun puppy, so it's an adjective. A little bit more complex is the is an article, and it's an adjective modifying which boy, the boy. And his, often known as a possessive pronoun, in this case is telling me which puppy, his puppy. So some people might call this possessive pronoun a possessive adjective. So that leads us back to our original big question: who are these guys and what do they do? Well, in short, nouns are the stars of the sentence. They're the subject. They're what is doing the action or what is being described. Pronouns are the substitution for those stars. Instead of using Tom, I could use he. And finally, adjectives can describe them both. They modify them both. Oh, and one more thing. These 3 parts of speech are very, very common. For example, let's look at our original big question. Who is an interrogative pronoun? These is a demonstrative pronoun. Guys is a noun. It's also common, concrete, and plural. What is a pronoun? It's an interrogative pronoun. They is a pronoun. It's a third person plural subject pronoun. And that is the big idea. I thank you. We are finished.